There's a small borough called Lehighton in Carbon County, Pennsylvania, nestled into the west bank of the Lehigh River, 24 miles northwest of Allentown. The people of Lehigh Valley have had a profound effect on the history of our country. The Ohl family has lived and worked here for generations. This is their story. Bethlehem Steel was a global powerhouse from the late 1800s until the late 1950s. Lehighton natives Arthur Ohl and Ralph Neeb dedicated many years to the company. Arthur, a coal-fired open hearth, Ralph, a machinist. The plant generated beams that were used nationwide for structures that still stand today. Bethlehem Shipbuilding produced over 1/5 of the U.S. Navy's fleet during World War II. In the late 50s, Ralph Neeb, who friends called Chubby, started a well drilling business to serve the people closer to his hometown.
I think there was never a day you didn't learn something. My grandfather's one of those guys, he could just build anything. We had a go-kart, I remember, as a project we got, and it came as a single seater, and we ended up making it into a double.
He taught me how to make something out of nothing. Basically, you take scrap metal, and we made a snowplow for my four-wheeler because we couldn't afford to buy one.
In the early 60s, Chubby Neeb took on the task of turning a swampy area north of Lehighton into a campground that could be used by family and neighbors. In 1963, he hired Arthur's son, Bobby Ohl, to help build roads and structure in the campground. It was the beginning of a tremendous business relationship which lasted for the rest of both men's lives. Brenda Neeb grew up learning the family business. Bobby Ohl's dedication to Neeb well drilling made quite the impression.
Okay. Well, we met in school, in high school, and he went in the service right out of high school and ended up in Vietnam. Yeah, it was very hard. He was over there a year, like I said, and then he was a medic, so then he was out in the field. Actually, he joined the Navy, but he ended up with the Marines because he was a medic. They'd go right with the Marines. So, yeah, it was like I worked, that was it. You know, I worked actually at the Atlas plant when I got out of high school. Didn't know what it was detonating, waterproofing detonators. I had no idea. I was too young to know. Here they were making those for the war.
After the wedding, Bobby returned to Vietnam for several more months of service to his country. He then completed his service at the Philadelphia Naval Hospital and witnessed the birth of the Ohl's first son, Steve, in 1969, and then Brad in 1971. Bobby then embarked to the Pennsylvania State Police Academy for training. After 2 years as a Franklin Township policeman, Bobby looked to return to his roots. Sherry was born. Steve and Brad were growing up fast, and one night at the campground, the future of the family business snapped into focus.
My grandfather said, well, I'm going to retire soon. Why don't you get a well drilling rig like I have, except mine's so old we don't want to use mine anymore, and get a newer one and go into well drilling business. And we all thought that was good. And I remember back thinking that it was pretty cool that as I was 11 or 12 at the time, being in that conversation, that my opinion actually mattered, and they turned to us and they were talking about how much money it would cost for that well drilling rig and how soon you'd be able to pay it off. And I remember that's the first time I really had interest in accounting and the finances of how things worked. So it was kind of a neat experience being there for that whole beginning. My dad was having other companies deliver his engine oil for the diesel that would run the deck engine. It was a 12-cylinder Detroit, so go through about 150 gallons of diesel fuel a day. So he actually saw his old truck. That's what sparked his interest. His old truck was for sale, and I think it was around $1,200 he paid for it. It was a 1972 International with a steel tank. People saw him driving the truck, and he had painted it red and white. He always liked red and white. He was a big fan of Texacos. He always had fun. He just was one of those guys that no matter what he was doing, he'd figure out a way to have fun at it, and it was always a good time. And Brad and myself would be with him, and we get to spend the whole day together, and that's what we always look forward to.
It was hard work, but he made it go. I was just amazed at some of the things he could huckster.
I didn't have a job. I didn't have nothing. And Bobby Ohl took a chance on me, for me a job. 13 years later now, I got everything. I owe a lot of what I got to Bobby Ohl, and I appreciate it.
The Ohl family has always strived to be the best people they can be, providing service and quality to their community, helping neighbors, friends, and customers stay warm or cool when the weather is extreme. RF Ohl is a family business that will thrive for generations due to the strongest of work ethics and a genuine caring for their community. Thank you for watching Propane Family Portraits, a presentation of the Pennsylvania Propane Gas Association.